Driving question is, if two sets of identical twins marry and each couple has a child, could the resulting children be identical? Our conclusion to this question is no, but they have a slight chance that they can be. This is because even though the identical twins come from the same egg after it divided, there could be other environmental and genetic factors that can play into their differences.
As we said before, identical twins share the same DNA. This happens because one fertilized egg splits into two, which creates two eggs with the same DNA. At this time, the undeveloped babies have the same DNA, but whenever they separate, they come into contact with different environmental factors which change the epigenomes of their chromosomes.
Once the sperm reaches the egg, it'll become fertilized and it'll begin to start dividing. And then once they divide, it'll become two separate eggs with identical DNA. But there are other genetic environmental factors that can play in, such as if the underdeveloped babies touch the amniotic sac, this gives them a distinct fingerprints, causing them to have a unique trait in both babies. And so this will happen usually between the 6 to 13 weeks of them being created. And there are other environmental factors, such as if the babies don't get enough nutrients through the umbilical cord.
Another change that the babies undergo while they're still in the womb is copy number variance. This is when there's differences in the number of copies of chromosomes that the babies inherit from both of the parents. And normally, as we know, everyone carries 2 copies of each gene, but in certain cases where the copy number variants are off, you can get anywhere from 0 to 14 chromosomes of the same identical DNA, which means you're going to have too many or not enough. One of the big major changes that undergoes the babies once they have already been born are epigenetic changes. Think of the epigenomes as little markers or light switches. They can turn off certain genes and then turn on other genes. So it can increase or decrease the effect of certain genomes on the DNA strand. So some of these epigenetic changes that can be related back to the environment are your diet, your activity level, what your hobbies are, if you are very stressed out. And these things all cause changes in your epigenomes, which then cause changes in your actual genetics. So they change you as you get older. Because as a child, you're very active, you just like to play around and have fun. But then as you get older, you have more work and more things you're responsible for. So by the time you have a job, it could be a very stressful job and you're stressed all the time. So this could cause one of your chromosomes to change to allow your epigenomes to turn on and turn off certain things. So by the time twins are well into adulthood, we can tell significant changes due to their epigenomes. So in conclusion, we believe that in the driving question, the offsprings would not be identical because there are environmental changes and genetic changes that the babies will undergo that will change the phenotypes and genotypes of them, so therefore they're not going to be identical to one another.